All right, again, another addendum to the healing skin barrier video, okay? I put a little mineral powder on today. I'm going out to do some errands and I had done a face massage this morning, so my skin was quite rosy. So I decided to put a little bit of mineral foundation on just to tone it down a little bit. And I wanted to share with you guys. So for those of you that have a damaged skin barrier, but you're someone who is not going to go without wearing makeup. And of course, I suggested mineral powder in that video, and I just wanted to share with you how I apply it, what I do, and how to be really careful when you have really sensitive skin, okay? And damaged skin, all right? Because you have to be super careful how you apply it. So you want to make sure, first off, that you have an extremely soft brush. You're really looking at a synthetic brush here. So synthetic and super soft. I'm using the Doll 10. This is the Jumbo Kabuki number 9. I'm not necessarily recommending it. It's just I'm showing you this is a very soft brush, okay? Some of the IT cosmetic brushes are really soft. And again, I know they're expensive. You can find cheaper ones that are just as soft, but this is just what I'm using right now and just demonstration purposes, okay? You're gonna prime your brush with a tiny bit of oil, okay? Just 1 drop of oil. Put 1 drop of oil on a plate, 1 tiny drop, and you're going to prime your brush if your brush is fresh and new, okay? Meaning washed, cleaned, dry, okay? And then you're going to pour out a little bit of powder into your plate, and you are going to bump it around, okay? So you're going to just bump it onto the plate to pick up the powder, and depending on how much powder is on the plate, if it's not very much at all, and that's all you want on your brush, you're just going to continue to work it into the brush. But you may need to pick it up. There's still stuff on the plate. You don't want it all on your brush right yet. So you're going to go to a new plate, and you're going to work it into the brush. Okay, you're just going to work it, work it, work it, work it. Okay, and then if your skin is very, very sensitive, you want to apply it in very gentle, slow strokes. Okay, and try moving in a downward motion. Okay, and again, very slowly. You don't want to be buffing aggressively. That can be a little too much. Okay, so I'm going to go really, really slow. And you want a brush that has some flexibility to it, because if the brush is too stiff, it can be soft, but let's say it's too stiff, it's not going to bend with your skin. It's not going to flex with your skin. Okay, so I like something that bends, and see how that bends and flex with my skin, and it's incredibly soft. All right, so again, going really gently, and then if you have an area that you need to tap out a little bit more, you're going to pick up a little more powder, repeat that process, and then you're just going to lay it on and just tapping it down with a very soft brush. Okay, and then to remove it, little bit of oil, soft cloth. I like the 100% cotton flannel. You buy them in the castor oil pack section because that's the only place that I can find them, all right? And then you just remove it very, very gently, and then you go in with the skincare that I talk about in the video. That will help calm and soothe and heal your skin barrier, okay? But again, this is how I would do it. And in other videos that I've deleted, I talked about my own healing journey, healing my skin. I've done it twice. I did it when I burned my skin using glycolic acids. I had a severe chemical burn, had a severe reaction to the product. It was absolutely insane, okay? Insane. I thought my skin was permanently damaged. It was actually a pretty horrible, painful, excruciating experience, not to mention the aesthetic appearance was horrible, was absolutely horrible. And I was using Jane Iredale at the time, and I would just pat it around it to cover it up because it was so flaming red. It was absolutely horrible. And I believe I was using the Aveda pressed powder at the same time too. It was like those 2 products that I was using. But I would literally just tap it around to just hide the redness. The texture was terrible, but at least I could hide the redness. And then I started becoming much more proactive with my skin when I realized that it just wasn't healing on its own. It was months and months and months, and I was like, why is this still like this? And that was when I started actively treating it, and it got better. I did implement some frankincense and myrrh along the way as well, and doing some raw honey and doing some other things too. But I eventually healed it, and yeah, and that was years ago. I mean, it was in my mid 20s. Yeah, biggest skincare mistake of my life. And I had known better because I was involved in natural skincare, and I had worked for Amory Borland, and I wasn't into commercial skincare at all, but I just, I was getting married, and I was like, this was about 6 or 8 months prior to my wedding, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to polish up my skin a little bit, for my wedding, and thinking impulsively. Yeah, ruined my skin. I had a severe chemical burn from it. It was horrible, and I was under the advice of an esthetician at the spa that I actually bought the products from, because you got to remember, I'm in natural skincare. I don't work in that world. That world is not appealing to me, and it never has been. But I just thought I would dip my toes in. I had experiences with commercial products prior to that, and I never had any luck, but I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. Made a big mistake, damaged my skin. And then I ended up burning my skin with frostbite, although it's not really a burn. It's freeze burn. Yeah, it's freeze burn. I had freeze burn, frostbite on my face, and it was actually so bad I thought that I might have to have surgery on my nose. Actually, between the frostbite and the oxalate damage, it actually caused deformity on the side of my nose, which really sucks, but I'm not getting surgery. I'm not going to fix it. It is what it is. And that took a while to heal too. But again, it was so bad, and I would just very gently apply some mineral powder to it to blend it all out. And I could go places and nobody knew that I had severe frostbite on my face after the initial thick burning texture. After that kind of went away, because that you just can't hide, right? At the beginning, you just can't hide it. You can hide the color. You can block out the redness, but the texture was still there. But mineral powder literally was my life back then, because it allowed me to go out and feel a little more confident. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it, but you have to be careful removing it, because you don't want to be scrubbing and you don't want to be irritating your skin. But the beautiful thing is that the mineral powders that I suggest and recommend contain zinc oxide, which is very healing for the skin. Okay, so you're going to be getting some healing benefit in addition. And if you prime your brush with a tiny bit of oil, that is actually going to activate the zinc, because in its powder dry form, doesn't really do a whole lot. But once it blends with your oils on your skin, you prime your brush, it's going to basically activate the zinc oxide, okay? Which basically means it's gonna actually do something beneficial other than just reflect or absorb UV. It's going to actually do something in the healing zone. So I'm a big fan of zinc oxide. I absolutely love it. So I hope that helps some of you, okay? So again, a brush like this, you can get them cheaper, okay? And let me tell you, some of my softest brushes that I have are softer or as soft as some of my really expensive brushes. So you don't have to spend a fortune, all right? But it is important when you have a damaged barrier that if you are gonna be wearing something on your skin, that it be super, super soft. And I do highly recommend that if you're gonna wear any other makeup product on your skin, make sure it's a simple, loose formula without any preservatives and no added stuff. You may find some pressed formulas that are pretty clean that don't contain preservatives and stuff simply because they don't need them, okay? Because they're inner ingredients. You might be able to find some, but I always suggest to stay away from anything that could be potentially irritating for your skin. And it's not to say that something like this isn't going to irritate your skin. There's always outliers. There's always people that are going to have these crazy reactions. But the reason I suggest the Eden brand is because they do use purified minerals, and there's no bismuth oxychloride, okay, which is potentially triggering for people, okay? So it's the best one that I have found to suggest to people that are trying to heal a skin barrier and still want to wear something on their face because their face is really red and they want to like blend everything in a little bit better. Okay, so that's my experience and I wanted to share, and I hope that helps you. And if you need to hit me up in the comments section, please do so. All right, signing out.